So kind of let's get into that, and we'll wrap back to Ravencoin. And there's a lot, like I said, a lot to go over today. So thanks everybody in chat for being here. I know that we got a ton to go through, so I definitely want to check all the chat here a little bit later. And then thanks for the $9.99 super chat, Brad. Let's talk about Bitcoin falling below 40K as the death cross looms per CoinDesk. And I'm going to get the Bitcoin current price up right now is 41,262. So we have gone back up. We are kind of crawling back up. So not all doom and gloom today, but let's go ahead and talk about it. So this was posted at 2 a.m. Central Time, and it says they call it Bitcoin's quote, death cross, end quote. A bearish indicator which appears when the 50-day moving average dips below the 200-day moving average. The ominously named chart pattern looks set to be confirmed this week amid mounting concerns of faster liquidity withdrawal by the U.S. Federal Reserve, a bearish development for Bitcoin and asset prices in general. On Monday, the Bitcoin price fell below 40,000 for the first time since September of 2021. As of press time, the largest cryptocurrency was changing hands at $39,853 based on CoinDesk pricing, down 12% so far in 2022, one of Bitcoin's worst ever starts to a year. And this is one thing that I noticed that does seem weird. And I said this, I tweeted this out. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter at Son of a Tech if you want to catch any of the random thoughts I get. But one of the things that I was saying was typically you see, no matter what, every January and February an increase in price. So this is kind of outside of the norm. What we should see or expect in a traditional super cycle is that we would have a dip this year, but that wouldn't come till like February, end of February, mid to end February, and then like March, and then we would just keep going down, 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 and then we kind of level out like at a bottom, and then we would, and for like a winter type thing, and then we would hit the bear on the next halving. In this particular case, right, what we've seen is basically ever since Christmas, kind of like a steady downward spiral within the price of cryptocurrencies in general. Specifically, the one that we care most about is going to be Bitcoin because it influences the rest. And that means that kind of there is the possibility, which I find curious, of us actually having broke out of the traditional super cycle. And while that does mean that we could hit a bear market at any time, it also means that we could possibly hit a bull market on any time, at least from my perspective. Like, we aren't seeing the traditional moves from Bitcoin when it comes to its traditional super cycle. And that could actually end up meaning that this is a positive thing as opposed to a negative thing. However, if we do remain within the kind of Bitcoin super cycle, I would assume that we would see a pump here through February and then we'd come back down. If we've already started the bear run and that sort of thing, well, I'll talk about my predictions here in a little bit and what I would expect to see in pricing. But let's go ahead and get through this. Thanks, everybody that's joining the Rocket Chat. You guys rock. So I'll give shout outs there. PG Mullins and Fudweiser. Welcome to the Soats. Welcome to the Soat Goats. There we go. Whatever. On YouTube. There we go. All right, so the Wall Street firm Goldman Sachs foresees the Fed raising borrowing costs at least 4 times by the end of 2022 versus the previous prediction of 3 rate hikes, according to Bloomberg. The investment banking giant also expects the central bank to downsize its balance sheet from July. Friday's U.S. labor market report, which showed that unemployment rate dipped to 3.9%, has strengthened the case for the Fed to hike rates concurrently with the end of asset purchases in March. According to the CME Group's FedWatch tool, investors were pricing a 73% probability of a 25 basis point rate hike in March, up from 61% last week. Fears of hawkish Fed gripped the Bitcoin market towards the end of last quarter after the central bank shifted its focus to inflation control from maximum employment. In December, the Fed announced at least 3 rate hikes by the end of 2022 and an end of the asset purchase program by March. Bitcoin peaked near $69,000 on November 10th and has declined nearly 40% since. The cryptocurrency slipped over 12% in the last 7 days to January 9th, registering its biggest weekly drop since early December. The impending death cross, coupled with the souring macro outlook, may bolster overall bearish sentiment. That said, the technical indicators past record as a predictor of bear markets is mixed. According to research by Kraken, many of Bitcoin's previous death crosses, including those seen in 2014 and 2018, coincided with either a sell-off in the days that followed or a continued macro downtrend that confirmed a bear market. However, death crosses witnessed in June of 2021, late March of 2020, and October of 2019 were bear traps or false signals that marked major price bottoms. The consolidation seen after the mid-June 2021 death cross resolved in a fresh bull run, as seen in the featured image. Moving average crossovers are unreliable as standalone indicators, given they are based on backward-looking data and tend to lag in prices. The market is often oversold and due for a bounce by the time the crossover is confirmed, as was the case in June of last year and late March of 2020. So the question is, are we in a bear market or are we not? And then are we going to see a quick bull run? I think if we see a quick bull run, this is not financial advice, just kind of, if I'm going to predict it off a Bitcoin super cycle, then I would assume it would happen within the next couple weeks. It would continue through February. And then if we're going to follow the super cycle, we would have basically a bear market in March that would start in March. Now, we may have completely broken all of this, and that's not even a thing anymore, primarily because, well, obviously the Fed is in it. Institutional investment is in it. And we have obviously an inflation issue, which is why the Fed's responding like they currently are, and a lot of different factors that change everything compared to what we've seen in the past. So are we in a bear market right now? I guess arguably we could say we are, because we've been continually going down, but will that last for the whole 2 years that we traditionally see? No. Now, there is obviously the whole, manipulated market. And because institutional investors and the federal government are into it in general, it's going to be manipulated. That being said, because of the nature of Bitcoin, you should look up what's known as the Trojan horse theory for Bitcoin, which is essentially that as long as you're buying Bitcoin, as an individual, while the price of it in relation to USD is going to go up and down, the more the Fed and the more the banking and the more the institutional investors try to manipulate it, the higher over time they're just going to drive the price. It's inevitable because of the supply cap and the reduction of emissions. So in general, what ends up happening is that they are trying to manipulate the very thing that's going to eventually stop them from manipulating the everyday Joe's finances, at least in theory. Will that come to fruition? I don't know. I have high hopes that it would, because that's what I want to see. That was the purpose of it. But, things could change. What I wouldn't suggest off the bat is putting all of your money into cryptocurrency right now. Of course, you want to buy when it's down and whatever, but right now I have no idea where it's going to go. Like I said, it's kind of broken out of the cycle. It's all over the place. We have all these factors that are going in. I'm going to stay heavily invested into cryptocurrency in general, personally. So if you want to know what I'm doing, I am buying more graphics cards. I hope you enjoyed this clip from the Crypto Mining Morning Show every Monday through Friday, 7:45 a.m. Pacific and 10:45 a.m. Eastern Time. You can check out more clips here Or if you're interested in checking out the entire live show, you can check that out down here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Tuesday.